I'm Joanna Small, Public Affairs and Communications Manager for the Lynnwood Police Department. It's Friday, November 5th, and this is your LPD Video Week in Review. Here's a summary of the most notable incidents your Lynnwood police officers responded to this past week or so. On October 23rd, an observant officer spotted a vehicle stolen out of Kirkland, parked outside a Lynnwood residence. When our officers stopped at the house, two women were outside and at first claimed to not know who the vehicle belonged to. One of the women eventually admitted she had stolen it when she saw it left running in Kirkland. It turns out the vehicle belongs to a DoorDash driver who had left it on while she was picking up an order inside a Kirkland fast food restaurant. The inside of the vehicle was trashed and littered with what appeared to be stolen credit cards. The suspect attempted to swallow drugs in front of our officer, but she spit them out when he told her to, and those were entered into evidence. The suspect was taken to the Snohomish County Jail and is now facing possession of a stolen vehicle charges. She also had a theft warrant out of Seattle. On October 25th, an officer administered Narcan to a man who had just overdosed, quite possibly saving his life. Our officer was called to a room inside the Best Western, where one man was laying on the ground, not breathing, and another man told our officer that that man had used meth, heroin, and possibly fentanyl. Our officer used Narcan nasal spray immediately, and the man woke up and took a breath. Our officer continued to monitor his pulse until aid arrived, and the man could be transported to the hospital. On October 26th, the Proactive Discount Tire employee called 911 to report a person picking up his vehicle seemed under the influence of drugs or alcohol. When our officer arrived, the suspect drove off and made several egregious driving violations. So she initiated a stop, and the suspect admitted to drinking, then failed several field sobriety tests. The suspect also told our officer that this was his third DUI in 3 months, although we could not locate that information. We did, however, find he had been convicted of DUI in 2015. He's now facing another criminal DUI charge pending toxicology results. We appreciate the Discount Tire employee who alerted 911. On October 27th, officers responded to what appeared to be a road rage incident that escalated to one party pulling a gun on the other. A man and woman explained they were followed by a dark-colored Dodge Durango, which kept pacing them. They said the driver would repeatedly stop directly next to them and shout expletives, but they didn't know why. The driver eventually pulled into the 76 gas station on Alderwood Mall Parkway and exited his vehicle. When the couple was forced to stop at the intersection next to the gas station, they told officers the suspect pulled out a handgun and pointed it directly at them. They were terrified and drove off. Officers were unable to locate the suspect vehicle. On October 27th, officers responded to Walmart on Highway 99 for reports of a completely naked man climbing on a semi-truck attempting to load. When we got there, we discovered the man was indeed naked. He appeared to be suffering from some kind of mental health crisis and walked into the woods. Due to new Washington state laws that require a person pose an immediate or imminent danger to themselves or others in order to use any kind of physical force to transport them to the hospital, we could not forcibly get him help. We found his clothes abandoned nearby. It was about 50 degrees out and raining, and officers were concerned for his safety, so we attempted to locate him using a drone, but were not successful. On October 28th, officers were called to Fred Meyer for reports of a woman who stole more than $4,000 worth of merchandise and had walked to a nearby business parking lot. When our officer arrived, she attempted to detain the woman, but the woman ran to another business parking lot where there was a pile of dirt covered with a black construction tarp. Our officer watched as she laid in the dirt and tried to hide under the tarp. Once she finally surrendered, she told our officer she had warrants, which she did for theft, hit and run, and driving with a suspended license. She's now facing theft and obstructing a law enforcement officer charges as well. On October 29th, officers were called to Espresso Bueno Garden Cafe for reports of a burglary and fire inside. The property manager was watching live on CCTV footage. He said a man was inside the building and it was filling with smoke. Officers could also see flames inside once they arrived. They found a rear window smashed and yelled for the man inside to get out. He told officers this was his church and they were trespassing. Finally, the man did exit and the fire department was able to put out the fire. The suspect told officers he was using a fireplace inside the building, but the chimney hatch was not released. Some of the fire also spilled out of the fireplace and ignited a small box in the back room. The suspect appeared confused and denied breaking into the business. He was arrested and transported to the Snohomish County Jail. On October 30th, officers were called to Target for the theft of a large amount of alcohol. A loss prevention employee pointed out the suspect who attempted to flee from us, but we were eventually able to get her safely into handcuffs. It turns out she is suspected in several other thefts from Target that amount to nearly $3,000 worth of alcohol stolen. She also had a felony theft warrant out of Pierce County. She's now facing organized retail theft charges. And finally, have you seen this man, know where he is, or know who he is? He provided fake ID to purchase a nearly $51,000 vehicle at CarMax on Highway 99. The suspect completed an online application which involved providing a selfie. That's how we have these pictures. If you have any information about him, please reach out to the email address that's listed there on your screen. That's all for now. See you next time.